Hi guys, in this video I'll be recapping 90 Day Fiancé Happily Ever After Season 9, Episode 18. Since this was a long episode, I'm doing it in two parts. This video is part 2, which will cover Brandon and Julia and Jasmine, Matt, and Gino. See my previous video for part 1, where I covered Darcy and Georgie and the Florida Collective. If you enjoy recaps of reality shows like 90 Day Fiancé and Love is Blind, please like, comment, and subscribe, and check out my other videos and playlists. We'll start with Brandon and Julia. They're at home and Julia is looking into selling some things to raise money for a bigger house. A very rehearsed scene ensues in which they consider selling Brandon's motorcycle, and he argues that he wants to keep it. In their interview, they say they have a small money problem since the trip to Europe cost more than they expected. He was able to jump back into work, but he's making less money now. And they didn't sell her apartment in Europe, so with needing a bigger house, they're low on cash. She's in her second trimester, and they still haven't told his parents. He says his parents might help with the down payment on their house if they tell them. Julia says they can't tell the parents since they'll overstep, and that she has a high-risk pregnancy due to issues with her uterus. You can see during their interview that he's getting upset about this discussion to the extent that he pulls his arm away from her, which we've seen him do before in passive-aggressive fits. It's pretty sad that he gets all pissy when she's just discussing concerns about her health, and he can come across as acutely self-centered a lot of the time. But then he takes after his mom. They explain how before the trip the parents got upset and Julia hasn't talked with them since. She suggests that they meet with their friends first and tell them they want them to be their godparents, and he concedes. They meet with the friends at a bar. Julia orders appetizers and asks for a side of chocolate sauce. When the sauce arrives, she draws on a plate with it and presents it to her friends with a displayed plate asking, "Can you be godparents?" It's a little smeared, but anyone with sight can read it. Still, for the storyline, the friends pretend to not understand what it says. Then after about 100 years, they're like, "Are you pregnant?" Julia says they're 5 months along, and their friends are excited but shocked that they didn't tell them sooner. In their interview, the friends say they thought Julia wasn't able to conceive, so they were surprised to hear the good news. Julia tells the friends they were the first to know. They're flattered but strongly encourage her to tell Brandon's parents. She shares that she last spoke with his mom 3 weeks ago, but Betty was so controlling that Julia told her she never wants to see them again. Brandon was unaware of this news and expresses shock. She explains to the friends that Brandon can visit and talk to his parents anytime, that she doesn't stop him. In their interview, Brandon implies that he will tell his parents whether she likes it or not. Personally, I don't understand how they can hide Julia's pregnancy much longer, since you can already see that she's showing. And I'm starting to wonder if this whole not telling the parents about the pregnancy storyline is fabricated to create drama. I just get this sense, and I think it's mostly because I don't think Brandon would keep it under wraps from his parents for so long. He needs their approval, and a baby would be the biggest form of approval. So much of their storyline has seemed fake lately, so it wouldn't be a stretch to assume this is also fabricated. But I'll try to suspend my disbelief a little longer. Now we'll move on to Gino, Jasmine, and Matt. Gino is making a sad meal of cheese and crackers. Well, I find it sad, but he's super excited about it. He says he hasn't been eating as well since Jasmine left, but that he'll meet someone soon and that he'll eat better then, and that he won't sit at home and cry for Jasmine. He says he can't file for divorce yet since the immigration thing hasn't gone through, so clearly he didn't listen to his lawyer's advice from the previous episode. By the way, look at his hands in this scene. This guy is tense. In his interview, he expresses shock at Jasmine having an affair and baby and that now he's technically considered the father under Michigan law. He argues that he doesn't want his money going to a cheater, a liar, and a hoe, as he says. Gino seems to have really improved his place since Jasmine was living there. It looks like he remodeled and everything, and it even looks clean now. He's setting up a dating profile and acting brand new about it, like he's not sure what to put for this and that part of the profile. But I thought he used a dating profile to meet Natalie before. Then he's looking for profile pics, and he's looking at an old one from when he was like 30. He decides not to catfish anyone this time, so he selects a more recent one. He gets a call from his Uncle Max, who alerts him that Jasmine just posted on social media that she had her baby. He twitches as he reads the post and says, "Karma's a bitch." This betrayal only reinforces his commitment to the immigration thing. He says Jasmine wasted 4 years of his life, that he could have been with someone who loved him and could have had a child. He says he has no interest in her new life, so he'll focus on his life, as he types in the computer, "How to avoid sugar babies." He says Jasmine will need to prove there was no marriage fraud, and hence he confirms that he does indeed have a vested interest in Jasmine's life. We pan to Jasmine and Matt in Florida. They're trying to choose an outfit for Matilda to wear to meet his mom. Jasmine is stressed and says she's never had a mother-in-law. She explains that all her mothers-in-law were dead by the time she started dating their sons, and she's glad she didn't have to deal with them. This does tug at my heart. In his interview, Matt expresses his love for Matilda, but says how she keeps them on their toes and how tired he is. He says the first month was really hard, and was probably much worse for Jasmine. I want you guys to remember that and to watch how many times you see Jasmine taking care of Matilda in this episode, because to me, Matt is clearly doing the bulk of the work. In his confessional, Matt says he told his mom about the baby and not being married yet, and how his mom was heartbroken about this. Jasmine asks if his mom knows he's an F-boy, and that he was the gym slut. Is this true? If she knew that, why did she date him? She asks if his mom knows she's still married, and he admits he didn't tell her this yet. Then Jasmine takes Matilda, who was sleeping peacefully, out of her bassinet and starts holding and rocking her for no reason. You can see the poor baby putting her arms up in outrage. Jasmine asks Matt, "What are we?" Then she puts the understandably grumpy baby back in the bassinet. Poor Matilda looks pissed. She's like, "Mom, I was asleep. Why did you have to pick me up for dramatic effect?" Matt says he told his mom they were engaged. Jasmine asks why he told her this lie. He says he told her this so he wouldn't upset her, but Jasmine wants Matt to tell her the truth, and for good measure, she adds that he sucks. In her confessional, Jasmine says in real life they haven't talked about marriage yet. She's also worried that Matt's sister will find out through social media that she's still married. She says Matt went too far with the lie that they're engaged. The baby says, "Enough of this drama. Basta." Now we cut to Jasmine and Matt, who are ready to meet his mom and sister. They soon arrive and are also excited to meet Jasmine and the baby. In her interview, the mom says she doesn't know much about Jasmine, but that Matt told her he met someone. She does think they should be married, but she's glad at least they're engaged. Remember that. The sister says she thinks Matt waited to tell them since he was worried what their mom would say. The mom says God accepts all of us as sinners, and Jasmine too. She says she can't believe Matt is the father because he was like a child recently, as we've seen with our own eyes. In her interview, Jasmine says his mom arrived so happy, and Matt lied to her, and now they need to tell her the truth and disappoint her. I don't see why Jasmine needs to tell the mom they're not engaged. It seems like they'll eventually get married, and if so, they can be engaged then. In my opinion, it's not something the mom needs to know, and telling her will only hurt her. She's old school, so this is unnecessary. But Jasmine marches to her own dramatic drummer. Matt leaves to change a diaper, and Jasmine and the mom go to the kitchen. The mom shares that she used to be against her son having a girlfriend and living in sin, and Jasmine looks very uncomfortable about this conversation. They all sit down for dinner, for which Jasmine cooked polenta. The mom says it's too watery, but says it's good, and they eat it, but no one looks happy about it. The sister then gives Jasmine a necklace with a crucifix. Jasmine expresses her gratitude, and the mom smiles broadly. Jasmine then takes this opportunity to hastily crush the mom's happiness. She explains how in the kitchen Matt's mom had said she doesn't want him having relationships without being married. You can see the sister already looks uncomfortable about where this is going. Then Jasmine says, "Matt, tell her." And Matt then says, "Mom, I lied about being engaged. Jasmine is still married to someone and going through a divorce." And the mom looks destroyed. And then she breaks down crying and says she'll have to hand it over to God and pray for it. Jasmine almost seems to smile at this, and then she sits back to observe her work. The sister asks if the divorce is happening. Jasmine says yes, that she recently hired a lawyer, but she explains how she had a baby when she was still married and how Gino is technically considered the father, not Matt. To further upset the mom, she explains how if Gino wanted Matilda, he could take her. She says their priority is to prove Matt is the biological father, and then they can divorce. The sister says it sounds like Matt has no rights as a father now. That if Jasmine were to say she didn't want anything more to do with Matt, then what? She says they fell in love by accident, so what if they fall out of love? The mom says her heart is crying for them, and she starts breaking down and says she hopes they get it together and are safe and don't go to hell. Damn, Jasmine, look what you did. We cut to Gino, who's going clothes shopping to prepare for future dates. In his interview, he says he usually goes to the Salvation Army for clothes, but he needs to do something more serious now. He says he did a fitting for his tux for his first marriage. He also mentions that he met his first wife through a Brazilian dating site, which was news to me. He admits that maybe he goes too much for looks. He's telling the poor clerk how he created an online profile, and he wants the pants to be ready for when he has a date. The clerk brings Gino a blue jacket and says that this jacket should change the way you think and make you feel good. Gino starts telling the clerk about the whole mess that's his life now, about how his ex was always trying to control him and was manipulative, and that's what this jacket feels like to him, and he wants to be free. The clerk is thinking, okay, I can get you a different jacket. But he goes above and beyond his pay grade and says he's here to help Gino and can bring a few more options and help Gino feel more confident. Gino tries on a jacket that apparently isn't as controlling and manipulative, so it's a winner. The clerk is ecstatic. Gino keeps pulling his pants wide for some reason, and the clerk is saying, "We need to leave MC Hammer in the 90s. This inspires Gino to start dancing around for a good amount of time, Hammer style, to the clerk's dismay. But after all that, alas, the jacket is $1,000, so Gino turns it down. And then he unloads his financial woes on the hapless clerk, who now realizes he just wasted 30 minutes of his life and needs to get out now. In his confessional, Gino says he wants to get married and have children, and again he reinforces that he's not giving up on the immigration fraud issue, and how revoking her green card is all that matters to him. We're back with Jasmine and Matt, who are sitting in their backyard. She tells him to stop yawning, and he again notes how tired she must be in comparison to him. And again I say this makes no sense, because we saw Matt take care of Matilda the entire episode. Jasmine picked the baby up one time, and that time the baby was already asleep and was annoyed at being picked up. How is she tired? She says how bad she feels that she made Matt's mom cry. I say good. He says he's sorry for not telling her sooner, but that he doesn't regret anything about their relationship. He says sometimes that's how life is. It takes you down a certain path, and if people talk, oh well. He really seems to have matured over the past few episodes, and I like his perspective here. Jasmine, meanwhile, continues to be insufferable. She says she's not worried about most people, but is worried about their people, like his mom or sister. She sure wasn't worried when she broke his mom's heart into a million pieces. Matt says he's not sure what will happen in 5 or 10 years, but he hopes they're still together. He says he knows she's still married, and he doesn't have a ring, but he puts a literal piece of string on her finger as a symbol, and she gets all teared up. He asks her to marry him. Ever so dramatically, she says if she ever gets married, she wants it to be him, but that she doesn't know if she can say yes, because she doesn't trust people anymore. I wanted to find this scene touching, but I was so annoyed at Jasmine for making Matt's mom cry. She strives so hard for a dramatic moment in every scene, and it's starting to become obvious that the drama is her goal above everything else. I don't think she should be deported, but she's annoying as presented here, and I'm not a fan. Anyway, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.